Welcome in, everybody. 5 minutes with Sean, maybe 10. The 10th of March is where we find ourselves today, a third of the way through the month. I hope it is off to a wonderful start for you. Now, some interesting news has come across the desk here recently. Carvana buys new car dealership. Should I care? I'm undecided. Let's start with the first and obvious point that it is a very interesting time to buy a CDJR point. Haven't had probably the best 18 months. Looks like brighter times are ahead. I hope that's definitely the case. And then let's take it a step further. Let's get into the Arizona market. Competitive, but without seasonality. And to me, living in a seasonality area, what I find is they typically do more business in those summer months than those winter months. It's really weird. I don't see as many Carvana trucks in the winter as do in the summer. So I wonder out loud if it makes sense to just be in an area where they can basically prove, which they've already done the used car side. They're going to be able to prove on the new car side how delivering a car to a customer works, which honestly, we've all had the opportunity to do for a very long time. Some of us, me namely, started doing that back in 2005. It's 20 years, baby. 20 years since the birth of digital retail, okay? Think about that just for a second. Just let that soak in and some shit there. All right, so is it going to be a game changer? Is it going to matter? I've spoken to some folks in the Arizona market. It seems like just another dealer bought a dealership, which seems fair to me because at this point, that's what they're trying to be. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but CarMax used to be in the new car business. As a matter of fact, I think the Toyota store here up near the border in Wisconsin is still a Carfax Toyota dealership. So this concept of used people getting into new business isn't odd. The idea of big new business creating used cars as a business isn't new, right? Conceptually, none of this is new. Now, will they have a better streamline of operation? Will they have access to used cars? What will they be putting on those websites? Will it be all of Carvana's inventory? Will Carvana be competing? All of their used cars will be funneled into that market, and then they will all be available. It'll be interesting to see how they utilize this in their platform. It obviously gives them a chance, if I'm them, to start to break out their website into the new car world, which they've done in the past. They've been doing really lightly with new car dealers, working with new car dealers, to facilitate whether that's buying a car, selling a car, whatever it is. There's been a quiet behind the scenes relationship. So, I got some people up in arms. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think it's going to matter, right? Not right now. This company was, they've been sort of, up and down, and then they were going to go bankrupt, and they didn't. Now they're back on the upswing. Now they're buying dealerships. I think what it's going to do is I think it's going to show you what happens when people go from used to new. I think it's easier to go from new to used. Used has very little guidelines. New is fraught with guidelines, especially on the OEM side. Right? So they'll have to get in there and have to deal with a little bit more political red tape bullshit, potentially. It doesn't, are they going to do the vending machine? Are they going to get rid of the dealership front and do a vending machine? I doubt it. I don't know the size or footprint of this store. I haven't asked that deep of questions. If anyone knows the footprint, great. I assume it's not a gigantic store because that really wouldn't fit their MO, but could be. Maybe they plan to do other things, and now that they have, the auction, they've got the used, now they got the new. Could it do with wholesale parts, wholesale? Yeah, there's a lot of shit they can start to run out. What does giving them a new car license in the state of Arizona do for them? I'm not positive. I don't know what it gives them access to or what it doesn't. And it might not matter. I think from a business structure, this is, again, CarMax of the, early 2000s, I suppose, that we're getting into the new car business because the same thing for them applied. One price, one place, one way. If that's what Carvana's plan is to sell everything digitally, right, and see that, I think it's interesting that they're getting into a world that likely isn't going to adapt to their delivery methods, and then they'll have to be in-store retail people, which historically the family understands. Now, again, for those of you who don't know, these guys come from a long line of in the automotive business. So whether it's buy here, pay here, I don't give a shit. Which buy here, pay here, again, much different than the primary financing of new cars, especially. But again, I assume there was some deals behind the wall there with a manufacturer to see what makes sense. Maybe it's a part of a bigger play that they'll unveil to us in the next 2 to 3 years. I don't really know. But for today, in this moment, I'll ask you this. Why do you care? Like, would you care that 2 of my buddies just bought 2 more stores? Would that, if I made that a national headline, would that matter to you? Or is it because it's big, bad digital retailing Carvana that's come for us? Now, interesting if you look back at their advertising, though, about the sleazy in-store car guy type stuff. You know what I mean? How does that play now with them? I don't know. Will they be able to avoid that? What will it look like to buy a new car from Carvana? I just don't think it's going to look much different than the way any of you new car dealers have a way to sell cars today. It doesn't give them an advantage over you. Yeah, delivery network, but you could deliver cars too. So it really wasn't about that. Advertising budget, they're a national company. They probably are going to come heavy into market. So recommendation for dealers in that market, especially in the CDJR world, take a look at your competitive bid scales. Make sure that they stay where they are now. If you see your competitive bid move because there's a new competitor and it's Carvana, I can tell you and rest assure you, that's an expensive game to chase. Most dealers in a single unless you've got 10, 12, 15, 20, it's even harder to compete. So dealers in that market, take a look around, see what you're doing now to spend money and attract customers, and find out where and watch the data to see if that data moves. If it becomes more expensive to do business because these dudes are spending a ton of money into the market. It's what I would imagine, it's what they do. They're not afraid to spend money on advertising. They don't try to get rid of advertising to save their way to a bottom line. We can assure ourselves of that. It would be interesting to see what's listed on the dealer website for used cars. That just interests me. Will they have 5,000 used cars? And it interests me what will show up on the new car side from Carvana's website now with that. Will they highlight the shit out of Dodge? Will they be able to focus? Will they be able to make it a bigger point on their own site to garner attention from that used car customer? That's interesting. That's interesting. But, will it be a game changer? Will it be something that all of us will be like, wow, Carvana is going to buy 5 to 10 or 12 or 15 in the next 5 years? I don't see it. It remains to be seen, my friends. We're coming up on the middle of March. I hope yourselves are ready to close out strong. Other than that, join us next week for a fun St. Patrick's Day edition of the show.